Standing beneath the towering stones of Stonehenge, you can almost hear the whispers of the past, the echoes of a civilization that left behind one of the greatest mysteries of human history. These ancient monoliths have puzzled scholars for centuries, their purpose shrouded in theories of rituals, calendars, and celestial worship. But what if the truth is even more astonishing? What if Stonehenge wasn't just aligned with the stars but was actually modeled after them? Picture this, a blueprint etched into the earth, mirroring the explosive beauty of a supernova, a cosmic event so powerful it could have inspired our ancestors to immortalize it in stone. This isn't just speculation, it's a theory that bridges the gap between archaeology and astronomy, suggesting that the people who built Stonehenge might have witnessed something extraordinary in the night sky and sought to capture its essence forever. The idea that Stonehenge could be linked to a supernova isn't just wild imagination, it's grounded in startling geometric parallels. Recent studies have revealed that the arrangement of its stones mirrors the intricate patterns seen in the aftermath of a stellar explosion, a phenomenon that would have been visible to ancient eyes. Imagine the awe of witnessing such an event, a star dying in a blaze of light so brilliant it outshone the moon. Could that moment have been so profound that it demanded a monument? This theory challenges everything we thought we knew about Stonehenge, pushing us to reconsider not just how it was built, but why. Were our ancestors trying to communicate with the cosmos, or were they leaving a message for future generations? As we delve into this fascinating possibility, we'll uncover the evidence that ties Stonehenge to the stars, examining celestial alignments, decoding ancient symbolism, and piecing together a puzzle that spans thousands of years. This isn't just a story about rocks and ruins. It's a journey into the minds of the people who looked up at the same sky we do and saw not just points of light, but a canvas of meaning. By the end of this exploration, you'll see Stonehenge in a whole new light, not as a static relic of the past, but as a dynamic testament to human curiosity and our eternal fascination with the universe. So let's step into the shadows of these ancient stones and unravel the dark blueprint beneath them, one celestial clue at a time. Stonehenge stands as a silent giant on the Salisbury Plain, its origins as mysterious as the shifting shadows it casts at dawn. Built in stages over thousands of years, this monumental circle began as a simple earthwork before transforming into the towering stone structure we know today. The sheer effort behind its creation staggers the mind. Giant sarsen stones hauled from miles away, bluestones transported over 150 miles from Wales, each one meticulously shaped and placed with precision that defies the technology of its time. But who were the people behind this feat? The Neolithic builders left no written records, only clues etched into the landscape. What we do know is that Stonehenge wasn't just a solitary project. It was part of a vast sacred complex connected to burial mounds, processional avenues, and other enigmatic structures like nearby Durrington walls. Theories about its purpose are as varied as the stones themselves. Some believe it was a temple for sun worship, aligned perfectly with the solstices so that the rising sun on the longest day of the year would pierce the heart of the monument. Others argue it served as a burial ground, a place where the bones of the elite were laid to rest beneath the watchful stones. Then there's the idea that it functioned as a prehistoric observatory, its alignments tracking the movements of the moon and stars with uncanny accuracy. But perhaps the most intriguing question isn't just what Stonehenge was used for, but why it was built with such celestial precision. Did its creators see the heavens as a map, a guide, or even a message? The cultural significance of Stonehenge can't be overstated. For the Neolithic people, it may have been a bridge between worlds, the earthly and the divine, the living and the dead. The effort to construct it would have required cooperation across generations, a shared vision so powerful it united communities in a way few things could. And that's what makes the cosmic connection so compelling. If these ancient builders went to such lengths to mirror the skies, could they have been inspired by something even more extraordinary than the sun or moon? Something like a supernova, a cataclysmic stellar explosion that would have blazed across the heavens, visible even in daylight. The possibility lingers like a star's fading light, waiting to be rediscovered. The stones of Stonehenge don't just stand in silent formation, they speak the language of the cosmos. One of the most striking revelations about this ancient monument is how precisely it aligns with celestial events, particularly the solstices. On the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the rising sun climbs perfectly over the heel stone, its rays flooding through the monument's central axis as if unlocking some long-forgotten doorway. The winter solstice sunset mirrors this alignment in reverse, with the sun sinking between the towering trilithons in a spectacle that still draws crowds to this day. These aren't coincidences. The builders crafted Stonehenge with an intimate understanding of solar cycles, marking the turning points of the year with stone and shadow. But could these alignments be part of something even more profound, a larger celestial blueprint? Archaeoastronomers have long studied how Stonehenge's design mirrors the heavens. Beyond the solstices, the monument's smaller bluestones may have tracked lunar cycles, their positions aligning with the moon's extreme rising and setting points over an 18.6-year cycle. Even the monument's circular layout echoes the cyclical nature of celestial movements, a stone calendar built to measure time on a cosmic scale. Some researchers suggest the entire arrangement could represent constellations or even map out celestial events visible at the time of its construction. One compelling theory points to the supernova of 3054 BCE, an explosion so bright it would have dominated the night sky for weeks. Could the sudden appearance of this new star have inspired the monument's builders to recreate its brilliance in stone? The precision of these alignments raises a tantalizing question. How did Neolithic people without modern instruments achieve such astronomical accuracy? Some scholars propose they used simple but effective tools, wooden posts, sightlines, and generations of meticulous observation to track the heavens. Others believe they inherited knowledge from even older cultures, passing down celestial secrets through oral traditions now lost to time. What's undeniable is that Stonehenge's creators saw the sky not just as a backdrop, but as an active participant in their world, a realm where gods, ancestors, and celestial bodies intertwined. The monument's alignments may have served as a bridge between earth and sky, a way to harness the power of the cosmos for rituals, predictions, or even warnings. If Stonehenge was indeed modeled after a supernova, the implications are staggering. It would mean our ancestors didn't just observe the stars, they memorialized them, turning fleeting cosmic events into eternal monuments. The explosion's shockwave pattern, with its radiating lines and concentric rings, bears an uncanny resemblance to the layout of Stonehenge and its surrounding earthworks. Imagine the impact of witnessing such an event, a star dying in a blaze of light, its remnants forming a celestial template that could be mirrored on Earth. This theory doesn't diminish Stonehenge's other functions, but instead adds another layer to its mystery, suggesting its purpose was as vast as the sky itself. The stones may be silent, but their alignment with the heavens speaks volumes if we're willing to listen. A supernova is one of the universe's most spectacular events, a star's final, fiery farewell, exploding with enough brilliance to outshine entire galaxies. For a brief moment, it becomes the brightest object in the night sky, visible even in broad daylight. Ancient civilizations across the globe witnessed these celestial fireworks, often interpreting them as omens or divine messages. One of the best documented examples is the supernova of 1054 AD, which created the Crab Nebula. Chinese astronomers recorded it as a guest star, so luminous it was visible for 23 days and even cast shadows at night. But if a supernova could leave such an indelible mark on history just 1,000 years ago, imagine the impact of an even earlier explosion, one that lit up the skies during the dawn of megalithic construction. The Neolithic people who built Stonehenge lived in a world untouched by artificial light, where the night sky was a living tapestry of stories and signs. A supernova would have been impossible to ignore, a sudden and dazzling rupture in the familiar constellations. Unlike comets or meteors which streak across the sky and vanish, a supernova lingers, fading slowly over weeks or months, a constant, radiant reminder of the heavens' power. Could such an event have been so transformative that it demanded physical commemoration? Some researchers point to a potential candidate, a supernova that may have erupted around 3054 BCE, coinciding roughly with Stonehenge's earliest phases. While no written records survive from that era, the absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Oral traditions, rock carvings, or even the alignment of sacred sites could have preserved the memory of that cosmic spectacle. The idea gains traction when we examine how other ancient cultures responded to supernovas. The ancestral pueblones of the American Southwest may have depicted the 1054 AD event in their rock art, carving spirals and stars that mirror the explosion's appearance. Halfway across the world, the Aboriginal people of Australia wove supernovas into their Dreamtime stories, describing them as celestial campfires lit by ancestral spirits. If these cultures, separated by vast distances, saw fit to immortalize supernovas in their art and lore, why wouldn't the builders of Stonehenge have done the same? The monument's circular design, with its radiating lines of pits and stones, eerily resembles the symmetrical shockwaves of a supernova remnant. What makes this theory so compelling is the sheer scale of human imagination it implies. A supernova isn't just a light in the sky, it's a cosmic rebirth, the death of a star scattering the elements of life across the universe. The iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, all forged in the hearts of stars and scattered by explosions like these. For a Neolithic culture attuned to the cycles of nature, that connection between the heavens and the earth might have felt sacred, even personal. Building Stonehenge could have been their way of mirroring that celestial order, grounding the transcendent in stone. The monument wouldn't just mark the sun's path or the moon's phases, it would capture a singular, epoch-defining moment, a star's death echoing across millennia. Could the concentric rings of Stonehenge be more than just an ancient architectural choice? Could they be a celestial snapshot, frozen in stone? This is the heart of the supernova hypothesis, a theory that dares to connect the monument's mysterious layout to the aftermath of a stellar explosion. Picture the Vela Nebula, a sprawling supernova remnant whose delicate filaments and radiating waves create an almost floral pattern across space. Now compare it to Stonehenge's design, the outer bank, the ring of sarsen stones, the inner horseshoe of bluestones, each layer echoing the concentric rings seen in these cosmic remnants. The resemblance is uncanny, as if the builders took inspiration from a celestial blueprint. Astrophysicist Dr. Derek Cunningham has championed this idea, pointing out that Stonehenge's geometry aligns startlingly well with the logarithmic spirals and radial symmetry found in supernova remnants. His research suggests that the monument's famous Aubrey holes, a circle of pits surrounding the stones, might mirror the shock waves of an explosion, capturing the moment energy rippled outward from a dying star. Even the alignment of Stonehenge's avenues and nearby barrows fits this pattern, creating a larger landscape design that mimics the asymmetry of stellar debris fields. It's a theory that turns the monument from a static calendar into a dynamic portrait of a cosmic event, one that might have been witnessed by its builders. But how could Neolithic people without telescopes or modern astronomy replicate such complex celestial geometry? The answer might lie in their acute observational skills. Ancient cultures often encoded astronomical knowledge into art and architecture. Think of the spiral carvings at Newgrange in Ireland, believed to represent solstices, or the Nazca lines in Peru, which map constellations. If a supernova blazed brightly enough to dominate the sky for months, its pattern could have been tracked and recorded using simple tools like ropes and stakes, translated over generations into the language of stone. The implications are profound. If Stonehenge truly reflects a supernova, it suggests a level of astronomical sophistication we rarely attribute to prehistoric societies. It also raises haunting questions. Was the explosion seen as a divine sign, a warning, or a call to action? Did the builders believe they were harnessing cosmic power by recreating it on Earth? The theory doesn't negate other interpretations of Stonehenge but layers them with new meaning, blending ritual, science, and art into a single monumental statement. As we trace the rings of stone and the echoes of starlight, we're reminded that the sky has always been humanity's first canvas, and Stonehenge might be its most enduring masterpiece. Archaeoastronomy is where the mysteries of the sky meet the enigmas of the Earth, a field that peels back the layers of time to reveal how ancient cultures interpreted the cosmos. Unlike modern astronomy with its telescopes and equations, Archaeoastronomy listens to the whispers of the past, studying how civilizations like the builders of Stonehenge, the Maya of Chichen Itza, or the Neolithic people of Newgrange wove celestial events into the very fabric of their sacred spaces. These monuments weren't just built to impress, they were designed to converse with the heavens, aligning with solstices, equinoxes, and even the cyclical dances of stars. At Stonehenge, the precision of these alignments suggests something deeper than mere observation. It hints at reverence, a desire to capture the fleeting majesty of the cosmos in unyielding stone. Take Newgrange in Ireland, for example. This 5,000-year-old passage tomb is engineered so that on the winter solstice, a narrow beam of sunlight pierces its inner chamber, flooding the darkness with golden light for just 17 minutes. The effect isn't accidental. It's a deliberate, almost poetic celebration of the sun's rebirth, a moment when the boundary between the earthly and the divine seemed to blur. Similarly, at Chichen Itza, the pyramid of Kukulkan transforms during the equinoxes as shadows slither like serpents down its steps, a spectacle that merges architecture with astronomy in a way that still leaves visitors breathless. These sites share a common thread. They're not just buildings but celestial clocks, stone narratives of humanity's enduring fascination with the sky. What makes archaeoastronomy so vital to unlocking Stonehenge's secrets is its ability to bridge disciplines. By combining archaeology with astronomy, we can decode the intentions behind the monument's alignments. Were they practical, marking seasons for agriculture, spiritual, serving as portals for rituals, or perhaps both? The Aubrey holes, those enigmatic pits encircling Stonehenge, might hold a clue. Some researchers argue they were used to predict lunar eclipses, functioning as a prehistoric computer of sorts. Others see them as symbolic markers of ancestral spirits, their positions mirroring constellations known to the builders. This duality, practical science intertwined with sacred meaning, is what makes archaeoastronomy so compelling. It refuses to reduce ancient sites to simple explanations, embracing the complexity of cultures that saw no separation between the scientific and the spiritual. The evidence linking Stonehenge to celestial phenomena grows stronger with each discovery. Laser scans have revealed ancient carvings of daggers and axes on the stones, possibly representing constellations or cosmic events. The nearby Durrington Walls, a massive Neolithic settlement, aligns with the winter solstice sunset, suggesting an entire ritual landscape choreographed to the sky's rhythms. Even the bluestones transported from distant Wales might have been chosen not just for their durability, but for their perceived connection to the heavens, a belief echoed in other cultures that prized certain stones as conduits of celestial energy. If Archaeoastronomy teaches us anything, it's that ancient people were far more than primitive stargazers. They were meticulous observers, sophisticated mathematicians, and visionary artists who transformed their understanding of the universe into monuments that outlasted empires. Stonehenge's cosmic blueprint, whether inspired by a supernova or the steady march of seasons, reflects a worldview where Earth and sky were inseparable. As we piece together these celestial puzzles, we're not just studying stones, we're reclaiming a lost dialogue between humanity and the stars, one alignment at a time. Nature speaks in geometry, a language of spirals, fractals, and perfect symmetries that humans have echoed for millennia. From the golden ratio in sunflower seeds to the hexagonal perfection of honeycombs, these patterns aren't just beautiful accidents. They're universal blueprints recurring across scales from microscopic cells to galactic arms. Ancient cultures seem to recognize this hidden order, weaving it into their art and monuments with uncanny precision. The pyramids of Giza align with celestial precision, the Parthenon's proportions mirror mathematical ideals, and the spirals of Celtic knots reflect the same logarithmic curves found in hurricanes and galaxies. So when we look at Stonehenge's concentric rings and radiating lines, it's worth asking, were its builders tapping into this same cosmic design language, perhaps even replicating the explosive symmetry of a supernova? The resemblance is striking. Supernova remnants like the Crab Nebula unfold in intricate, radiating patterns, energy waves frozen in space, their shock waves forming near-perfect circles with filaments stretching outward like spokes on a wheel. Now picture Stonehenge's layout, the outer circular ditch, the ring of towering sarcens, the inner horseshoe of bluestones, and the Aubrey holes marking precise intervals. It's as if the monument captures a moment of celestial violence translated into serene, structured stone. Even the avenues leading to and from the site echo the asymmetry of stellar debris, their alignment diverging slightly from perfect symmetry, much like the tendrils of a supernova remnant. This isn't mere coincidence, it's a potential glimpse into how Neolithic minds perceived harmony between earth and sky. What's fascinating is how instinctive this mimicry seems to be. Across cultures and epochs, humans have unconsciously mirrored nature's geometry. The spiral, for instance, appears in the petroglyphs of ancient Hawaiians, the labyrinths of medieval Europe, and the domes of Islamic architecture, all echoing the same patterns seen in seashells and galaxies. The builders of Stonehenge, living in a world without written language, might have relied on these universal shapes as a form of symbolic communication, a way to encode cosmic truths into tangible form. If a supernova blazed across their skies, its radial brilliance would have been a natural template, a divine signature begging to be immortalized. But geometry wasn't just aesthetic for these ancient architects, it was sacred. The circle, a shape with no beginning or end, symbolized eternity in many Neolithic cultures. By arranging Stonehenge's stones in concentric rings, the builders could have been creating a portal between realms, a place where the cyclical nature of time and the infinite expanse of the cosmos met. The supernova hypothesis adds another layer. The explosion's radiating lines might have been seen as pathways for spiritual energy, or even as a celestial map guiding the dead to the afterlife. This duality, practical geometry fused with profound spirituality, reveals a sophistication we're only beginning to appreciate. The question lingers: how did they achieve such precision? Without compasses or advanced tools, the builders likely used ropes and pegs to plot their designs, employing simple techniques to transfer celestial observations into stone. Experiments with replica tools show that even basic methods can produce astonishingly accurate circles and angles, especially when guided by generations of accumulated knowledge. The real marvel isn't just their technical skill but their vision, to see a star's death not as an end but as a pattern worth preserving. In a world where the sky was alive with meaning, Stonehenge might stand as humanity's earliest attempt to hold a piece of the cosmos, to make the infinite tangible. And in its stones, we're still deciphering that message, one geometric clue at a time. The bluestones of Stonehenge hold secrets that stretch far beyond their striking color. These smaller, mysterious pillars form the monument's inner circle, and their story is as captivating as it is perplexing. Unlike the towering sarcens quarried from nearby Marlborough Downs, these stones embarked on an epic journey, transported over 150 miles from the Preseli Hills in Wales. Just imagine the sheer determination or obsession required to move these multi-ton slabs across rivers, valleys, and rugged terrain without wheels or draft animals. Some researchers believe they were dragged on wooden sledges, while others suggest they might have been floated on rafts along ancient waterways. But why go to such extraordinary lengths? The answer might lie in the bluestone's otherworldly origins, both geological and spiritual. The Preseli Hills weren't just a source of durable rock, they were a sacred landscape, woven into Neolithic myths and rituals. Local springs, like the famed healing wells of Khan Menin, were believed to hold curative powers, and the bluestones themselves were thought to carry this energy. Legends speak of giants who built Stonehenge by carrying the stones from afar, while modern archaeologists uncover evidence that the bluestones were revered long before their arrival on Salisbury Plain. Some were even repurposed from an older monument in Wales, suggesting their significance transcended location. Could these stones have been seen as vessels of divine power, their journey a pilgrimage to merge two holy sites into one cosmic sanctuary? Yet there's another layer to this mystery, one that looks upward rather than backward. The bluestones aren't randomly placed. Their horseshoe arrangement mirrors celestial patterns, much like the larger Sarsen circle. Some researchers propose they mark lunar standstills, those rare moments when the moon pauses at its extreme northern or southern rise. Others point to their alignment with specific stars visible during the monument's construction. Even more intriguing is the possibility that their layout echoes the same supernova geometry proposed for the outer rings. The bluestones' radiating positions could mimic the dispersal of stellar debris, as if the builders sought to capture the explosion's aftermath in miniature. What emerges is a tantalizing duality, the bluestones as both earthly talismans and celestial maps. Their presence ties Stonehenge to distant lands and distant skies, bridging the terrestrial and the cosmic. Whether dragged by devotion or guided by the stars, these stones transformed the monument into more than a local landmark. They made it a crossroads of ancient knowledge where geology, astronomy, and spirituality converged. Every chip in their surface, every alignment they form, whispers of a purpose we're still piecing together, one that might rewrite not just the story of Stonehenge, but our understanding of the Neolithic world. The stones of Stonehenge don't just stand in majestic silence, they whisper secrets of mathematical brilliance carved into the earth millennia ago. One of the most astonishing revelations about this ancient monument is the precision of its geometry, a sophistication that rivals modern engineering. Take the famous Pythagorean theorem, for example, the idea that in a right-angled triangle, the square of the hypotenuse equals the sum of the squares of the other two sides. This principle is often credited to the Greek mathematician Pythagoras, who lived around 2,500 years ago. Yet, Stonehenge predates him by over 2,000 years, and its layout suggests its builders might have understood this concept long before it was formally documented. Look closely at the monument's central horseshoe of trilithons, those massive stone arches formed by two uprights and a lintel. When you map their positions, something extraordinary emerges. The distances between key points form perfect right-angled triangles, their proportions aligning with Pythagorean ratios. The builders didn't just stack stones, they plotted them with an intuitive grasp of spatial relationships that feels almost prophetic. How could a Neolithic culture without written mathematics achieve such accuracy? The answer might lie in the tools they used: simple ropes and pegs. By knotting ropes at measured intervals and stretching them into geometric shapes, they could have transferred celestial observations into precise earthly designs, turning the land into a living chalkboard of cosmic knowledge. But the mathematical marvels don't stop there. The outer Sarsen circle, with its 30 upright stones, mirrors the days in a lunar month, while the inner bluestone horseshoe's 19 pillars echo the Metonic cycle, a 19-year period after which the moon's phases repeat on the same calendar dates. These numbers aren't arbitrary, they're deliberate reflections of celestial rhythms, encoded into stone by people who saw the sky as both clock and compass. Even the monument's diameter, 110 feet, divides cleanly into units that correspond to ancient measuring systems, suggesting a standardized understanding of space and distance far earlier than historians once believed. What's most striking is how this geometry connects back to the heavens. The builders didn't just replicate shapes, they embedded the language of the cosmos into their design. The spirals found in supernova remnants, the symmetry of planetary orbits, even the fractal patterns of branching lightning, all these natural phenomena follow mathematical rules. By mirroring them in Stonehenge's layout, the creators might have been attempting to harness or honor the same universal order. This wasn't mere imitation. It was a profound dialogue between earth and sky, a testament to humanity's timeless urge to find meaning in the patterns of the universe. The implications are staggering. If Neolithic builders wielded geometry this advanced, it forces us to reconsider the intellectual capabilities of ancient societies. Were they merely lucky, or did they possess a lost system of knowledge passed down through generations and etched into the land? The numbers etched into Stonehenge's stones suggest the latter, a legacy of observation, calculation, and reverence for the invisible forces shaping their world. Every alignment, every ratio, every carefully placed stone is a silent argument against the idea that prehistory was primitive. Instead, it whispers of a sophistication we're only beginning to decode. Across the world and throughout time, humanity has woven the stars into the very fabric of myth, binding the heavens to the earth with stories as enduring as stone itself. The ancient Greeks saw their heroes immortalized in constellations: Orion the hunter forever chasing the Pleiades across the night sky, his celestial tail etched in light. The Norse envisioned the Milky Way as the bridge bifrost, a shimmering path linking the realm of gods to the world of men. Even the Aboriginal peoples of Australia spoke of the dream time, where ancestral beings shaped the land and then ascended to the stars, their journeys mapping sacred sites below. These aren't just isolated legends, they're threads in a vast tapestry of belief, one that suggests a universal impulse to mirror the cosmos in the tangible world. Could Stonehenge be another stitch in this grand design, a monument where sky and earth converge? Look at the myths of the Maya, whose pyramids doubled as celestial calendars, their steps counting the days until Venus reappeared as the morning star. Or consider the Navajo, who built their hogans in circular formations to reflect the harmony of the skies, their doorways aligned to greet the rising sun. In Egypt, the pyramids of Giza were positioned to mirror Orion's belt, their stones echoing the eternal dance of the gods above. These cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, shared a common vision. The sky wasn't just observed, it was replicated, revered, and ritualized. Stonehenge's alignments fit seamlessly into this tradition, its stones standing like frozen starlight, a testament to a belief system that saw no division between the celestial and the terrestrial. What's striking is how often these myths involve stones as conduits between worlds. In Irish folklore, the Lia Fáil, the stone of destiny, was said to roar when touched by the rightful king, its power drawn from the other world. The Inca spoke of huacas, sacred rocks that channeled the energy of the stars, while the Maori of New Zealand revered their paunamu, greenstone treasures believed to hold the light of the ancestors. If stones could be vessels of divine energy, then Stonehenge's bluestones and sarcens might have served a similar purpose, anchors tethering the sky's magic to the earth. Their arrangement, whether echoing a supernova or marking solstices, wouldn't just commemorate the heavens, it would invite their power into the realm of the living. The connection deepens when we examine creation myths. Many cultures describe the world's birth as a celestial event, a star falling, a god hurling a lightning bolt, or a great serpent carving rivers into the land. The Dogon people of Mali even recount how their ancestors received knowledge from the star Sirius, a revelation that shaped their architecture and rituals. If the sky birthed the earth in myth, then it makes sense that sacred sites like Stonehenge would embody that relationship, their stones positioned to capture the moment of creation itself. The supernova theory gains new resonance here. An explosion in the heavens wouldn't just be a spectacle but a cosmic rebirth, a story worth retelling in stone for generations. Perhaps the most compelling evidence lies in the universality of these themes. From the standing stones of Karnak in France to the sun temples of Machu Picchu, ancient builders returned again and again to the same idea: the sky is a map and the earth its reflection. Stonehenge, with its precise alignments and geometric perfection, fits this pattern not as an outlier but as a masterpiece of a shared human tradition. The myths don't just suggest a connection, they demand it, whispering that the monument's true purpose might be hiding in plain sight, written in the language of stars and stones. To stand beneath its arches isn't just to encounter a relic of the past. It's to step into a story as old as time itself, one where the heavens and the earth are forever intertwined. Imagine standing on the windswept Salisbury Plain 4,000 years ago, the only light coming from flickering fires and the vast, unobscured heavens above. For the Neolithic people who built Stonehenge, the night sky wasn't just a spectacle, it was a living storybook, a clock, and a compass woven into their daily lives. Without the glare of modern cities, the Milky Way would have blazed across the darkness like a river of crushed diamonds, its patterns as familiar to them as the contours of the land. These ancient astronomers didn't need telescopes or star charts. They had something far more powerful: generations of patient observation, passed down through oral traditions and etched into the landscape itself. Tracking celestial events required ingenuity we often underestimate. Simple tools like wooden posts, notched bones, or even strategically placed stones could have served as rudimentary sightlines, allowing them to mark the rising and setting points of the sun, moon, and stars. The horizon was their observatory, with natural landmarks acting as fixed reference points. When the Pleiades cluster appeared just before dawn, it might have signaled the start of planting season. A lunar eclipse with its eerie red glow could have been predicted by tracking the moon's cycles over decades. The evidence lies in monuments like Newgrange and the Callanish stones, where precise alignments prove their creators weren't just stargazers. They were meticulous record keepers of cosmic time. But could they have gone further, capturing something as fleeting and complex as a supernova's shape? The answer lies in their mastery of symbolism. Neolithic art across Europe is filled with spirals, radiating lines, and concentric circles motifs that mirror the patterns seen in supernova remnants. At Loughcrew in Ireland, a 5,000-year-old carving known as the Cairn of the Heavens depicts a starburst design strikingly similar to the shockwaves of an exploding star. If they could carve such precision into stone, why not replicate it on a grander scale? The builders of Stonehenge might have used ropes and pegs to map the supernova's form, transferring its celestial geometry onto the Earth with the same care they applied to solstice alignments. What's truly remarkable is how their methods defy modern assumptions about primitive societies. Without writing, they developed complex systems to encode astronomical knowledge. Without metal tools, they engineered monuments that endured millennia. Their understanding of the sky wasn't just practical, it was deeply spiritual, a bridge between the earthly and the divine. A supernova wouldn't have been merely an event to record. It might have been a divine message, a cosmic omen demanding commemoration. The stones of Stonehenge, then, could be more than a calendar or a temple. They might be humanity's first attempt to write a love letter to the stars, a testament to the night sky that guided, inspired, and awed them. Stretching across the night sky like a celestial spiderweb, the Vela supernova remnant is one of the most breathtaking cosmic spectacles visible from Earth. Located just 800 light-years away, practically next door in astronomical terms, this expanding cloud of gas and dust is the aftermath of a star that exploded nearly 11,000 years ago. Its brilliance would have dazzled ancient civilizations, outshining every star in the sky for weeks or even months. Today, through telescopes, we see its intricate filaments glowing in hues of pink and gold, delicate tendrils of stellar materials swirling outward in a pattern eerily reminiscent of Stonehenge's concentric rings. The resemblance is uncanny. Both display a radial symmetry, as if energy pulsed outward from a central point, leaving behind a frozen echo of that explosive moment. Take a closer look at the Vela remnant structure. Its shockwaves ripple through space in overlapping arcs, creating layered rings that mirror Stonehenge's earthworks and stone circles. The remnant's brightest filaments align along invisible lines, much like the monument's processional avenues and standing stones. Even the asymmetry in Vela's debris field finds a parallel in Stonehenge's slightly offset alignments, where the northeast entrance and heel stone break the perfect symmetry of the main circle. These details feel too deliberate to dismiss as coincidence. If Neolithic builders witnessed this supernova, its image would have been seared into collective memory, a divine sign demanding immortalization. The timing adds another layer of intrigue. While the Vela supernova predates Stonehenge by millennia, its remnant would have remained visible to the naked eye for generations, glowing faintly but persistently as a smudge of light in the constellation Vela. Oral traditions could have preserved its memory long after the initial explosion faded, transforming it into myth before its likeness was carved into the land. Consider how indigenous Australians recorded the supernova that created the Ogham Nebula in their oral histories, describing it as a fire in the sky that birthed new laws for living. If other cultures preserved such events without writing, why not the ancestors of Stonehenge's builders? What's most compelling is the universality of the response. From the petroglyphs of the American Southwest to the star maps of ancient China, cultures worldwide have turned supernovas into art, architecture, and legend. The impulse to ground the transcendent in the tangible seems hardwired into humanity. Stonehenge, then, might be part of this grand tradition, a three-dimensional portrait of a cosmic explosion, rendered in stone to bridge heaven and earth. The Vela remnants filaments still expanding into space could be the very blueprint hidden beneath Salisbury Plain, waiting millennia for us to decipher its celestial code. The circle is humanity's oldest and most universal symbol, a shape etched into the earth, carved into stone, and painted on cave walls long before the first cities rose. From the stone rings of Neolithic Europe to the sacred mandalas of Tibet, this simple, endless curve appears again and again across cultures separated by vast distances and centuries. It's as if the circle spoke a language every civilization understood, a primal recognition of something fundamental in the fabric of existence. For the builders of Stonehenge, the choice to arrange their monument in concentric rings wasn't just practical, it was profound, a way to mirror the cyclical rhythms of the cosmos itself. Consider the sun rising and setting in an eternal loop, or the moon waxing and waning in predictable phases. Ancient people lived by these cycles, marking time through celestial repetition. The circle became a natural symbol of this order, a way to capture the infinite in finite form. In Celtic tradition, stone circles like Callanish in Scotland were believed to be gateways between worlds, their unbroken shapes representing the unending journey of the soul. Hindu and Buddhist mandalas, intricate circular designs used in meditation, symbolize the universe's wholeness and the interconnectedness of all things. Even Native American medicine wheels, aligned to the solstices, wove the circle into rituals that honored the harmony of life, death, and rebirth. The pattern is unmistakable. Wherever humans sought to understand the divine, the circle emerged as a sacred bridge between the earthly and the eternal. But why did this shape hold such power? The answer might lie in its very perfection. Unlike squares or triangles, a circle has no beginning or end, no weak points, no hierarchy. It's egalitarian, infinite, and self-contained, qualities that resonated deeply with spiritual traditions. In ancient Egypt, the Ouroboros, a serpent eating its own tail, symbolized cyclical time and the unity of creation. Norse mythology described the world as a great tree, Yggdrasil, with roots and branches forming an unbroken loop. These cultures didn't just see the circle as a shape, they saw it as a cosmic principle, a visual shorthand for the universe's deepest mysteries. When we apply this lens to Stonehenge, its design takes on new meaning. The outer sarsen ring, with its 30 upright stones, might represent the days of a lunar month, a celestial calendar carved in stone. The inner bluestone horseshoe, though open-ended, still follows the curve of a circle, perhaps symbolizing the cyclical journey of the dead or the seasonal rebirth of the land. Even the monuments surrounding ditch and bank form a perfect ring, enclosing sacred space like a protective halo. If Stonehenge was indeed inspired by a supernova, the circle's symbolism deepens further. A dying star's shockwaves radiate outward in concentric rings, a fleeting moment of cosmic violence frozen in the monument's timeless geometry. The universality of the circle suggests something extraordinary, a shared human intuition about the nature of reality. Whether in the labyrinths of Crete, the roundhouses of Iron Age Britain, or the Zen gardens of Japan, the circle persists as a testament to our ancestors yearning to make sense of the infinite. It's a shape that contains multitudes, time, space, divinity, and the eternal return of all things. When we stand inside Stonehenge's rings, we're not just surrounded by stones, we're enveloped in a symbol that transcends culture and epoch, a silent language spoken by the sky, the earth, and the human heart. The stones of Stonehenge may stand silent now, but 4,000 years ago, they could have been part of an ancient soundscape, one where every whisper, chant, or drumbeat resonated with otherworldly power. Recent acoustic studies reveal something astonishing. The monument's carefully placed pillars and lintels weren't just aligned with the stars, they were engineered to manipulate sound. When struck or vocalized near, the bluestones produce a peculiar metallic echo, a reverberation unlike natural rock formations. Some researchers believe this was no accident. The builders might have positioned these stones to amplify rituals, transforming ceremonies into immersive experiences where sound wrapped around participants like an invisible force. But what if these acoustic effects were more than theatrical? What if they were meant to echo something far grander? The cosmic hum of a supernova. Picture the moment a star explodes in the void of space. While sound can't travel in a vacuum, the shockwaves ripple through interstellar gas, creating vibrations that, if translated into audible frequencies, might resemble a deep, resonant drone. It's a phenomenon astronomers call starquakes, the literal ringing of a celestial body. Now imagine Neolithic sky watchers witnessing a supernova's light show, its brilliance etched into their myths. Without the language of modern science, they might have interpreted its energy as a divine sound, a harmonic signature of the cosmos. If Stonehenge's architects sought to mirror the supernova's geometry in stone, could they also have tried to replicate its sonic essence? The idea bridges physics and spirituality, suggesting the monument wasn't just a visual tribute but a multisensory portal to the heavens. The evidence is more than speculative. Experiments at Stonehenge's replica, Mary Hill in Washington state, demonstrate how its circular layout focuses sound waves inward, creating a whispering gallery effect where even soft noises carry clearly across the space. Ancient instruments found nearby, like bone flutes and hide drums, would have thrived in this acoustic environment, their notes sustained and amplified by the stones. Even more striking is the discovery that the bluestone's unique composition, rich in metallic minerals, enhances high-frequency echoes, mimicking the metallic ping detected in recordings of vibrating neutron stars, the remnants of supernovas. The parallels are uncanny, as if the builders chose these stones not just for their color or durability, but for their ability to sing like the cosmos. This theory doesn't diminish Stonehenge's other roles as calendar, temple, or burial ground, but enriches them. Sound has always been a bridge to the sacred, from Tibetan singing bowls to Gregorian chants. For Neolithic people, the act of hearing a ritual's echoes might have been as transcendent as seeing the solstice sunrise, a way to feel the presence of ancestors or deities. If those echoes mirrored the imagined voice of a dying star, the effect would have been profound, a monument where light, stone, and sound converge to recreate the sublime power of the universe. The stones may be mute today, but their hidden acoustics suggest a truth we're only beginning to hear, that Stonehenge wasn't just a sight to behold, but a chorus to be felt, vibrating with the memory of the stars. Carved into weathered stones near Stonehenge, cryptic lines of Ogham script stretch like skeletal fingers, an ancient alphabet of slashes and notches used by Celtic cultures centuries after the monument's construction. These inscriptions, often dismissed as later additions, might hold clues to a deeper mystery. Could they preserve fragments of star lore passed down from Stonehenge's original builders? Ogham's origins are shrouded in myth, with medieval texts claiming it was invented by the Irish god Ogham to encode sacred knowledge. Each of its 20 characters bears the name of a tree, but some scholars argue the system's linear structure mirrors more than just flora. It could represent celestial alignments, with vertical strokes mapping the rising points of stars or planets. One particularly enigmatic Ogham stone discovered near Stonehenge's Cursus earthwork bears markings that don't match known inscriptions. Instead of tree names, its notches form repeating clusters of 5, a number sacred to many Neolithic cultures and often linked to Venus' 8-year cycle of appearances. Venus, as both morning and evening star, held immense significance for ancient astronomers, its movements meticulously tracked across Europe. Could this stone be a fragment of a larger celestial code, a way to record planetary motions without written language? The theory gains traction when compared to other Bronze Age artifacts. The Nebra sky disk from Germany, dating to roughly 1600 BCE, uses gold arcs to track solar and lunar cycles in a similarly symbolic language. If metalworkers in Central Europe could encode astronomy in bronze, why not stone carvers on Salisbury Plain? The connection deepens when examining Ogham's potential as a mnemonic device. Without paper or parchment, ancient scholars relied on physical markers to preserve complex information. The notches could have served as a tactile calendar, each groove representing a night's observation, each cluster a lunar phase. Some researchers propose that Ogham's 4 groups of 5 characters mirror the 4 seasons and the 5 planets visible to the naked eye: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. This would align with Celtic cosmology, where trees weren't just plants but markers of time and space, their growth cycles tied to celestial events. The yew, for instance, symbolized eternity in part because its berries appeared during the winter solstice, a celestial turning point Stonehenge's builders clearly revered. Yet the most tantalizing clue lies in Ogham's potential as a 3-dimensional language. Unlike flat inscriptions, some Ogham stones feature carvings along their edges, allowing messages to be read by touch in darkness, a feature that would have been invaluable for nighttime astronomical observations. Imagine a priest astronomer running their fingers along these grooves under a starry sky, decoding celestial patterns through tactile memory. This sensory approach mirrors how Polynesian navigators used star compasses carved into wood, their fingers tracing star paths just as Ogham readers might have traced celestial cycles. The scarcity of Ogham near Stonehenge makes each discovery monumental. Unlike Ireland's hundreds of Ogham stones, the handful found in Britain cluster near ancient observatories, suggesting they served a specialized purpose beyond grave markers or boundary signs. One fragment, now housed in the Salisbury Museum, shows where patterns indicating frequent handling, as if it were a teaching tool or ritual object. Its markings align with Orion's belt's position during the Late Bronze Age, a constellation linked to death and rebirth in multiple cultures. If these stones functioned as astronomical cheat sheets, they could bridge the gap between Stonehenge's builders and later Celtic societies, preserving sky knowledge through millennia of oral tradition. Deciphering these inscriptions is like trying to read a shattered star map. Without a Rosetta Stone to translate Ogham's celestial references, researchers rely on contextual clues, the stone's placement near ley lines, their alignment with solstice sunrises, and their resemblance to other European sky symbols. The challenge isn't just linguistic, it's philosophical. Modern science separates astronomy from mysticism, but for ancient carvers, the movements of stars and the whispers of gods were one and the same. Their script may encode not just observational data, but a worldview where heaven and earth spoke the same language, written in stone and light. Long before archaeologists puzzled over Stonehenge's origins, medieval scribes wove its stones into legends of magic and prophecy. Geoffrey of Monmouth's 12th century chronicles claimed the monument was the work of Merlin, who used his sorcery to transport the massive stones from Ireland to Salisbury Plain. According to the tale, these stones, called the Giant's Dance, were originally erected by ancient giants who understood the secrets of the stars. On the surface, it's pure fantasy, but legends often preserve distorted echoes of truth. Could these stories of giants and wizards be garbled memories of Neolithic sky watchers, their celestial knowledge so advanced it seemed supernatural to later generations? The Arthurian connection runs deeper. In some versions of the myth, Stonehenge becomes a place of healing, its blue stones imbued with power to cure ailments, a notion that oddly aligns with modern discoveries about the Preseli Hills' sacred springs. Even more intriguing is the legend's emphasis on the stones' alignment. Merlin insists they must be arranged precisely as they were before, hinting at an ancient understanding of their celestial significance. It's as if the myth preserves a whisper of the monument's true purpose, not just a circle of stones but a mirror of the heavens. Celestial symbolism saturates Arthurian lore. The Round Table itself, with its 12 knights, mirrors the 12 signs of the zodiac or the 12 lunar cycles in a year. Excalibur, often depicted as a sword blazing with light, evokes the streak of a meteor or the radiant tail of a comet. These motifs suggest the legends weren't just adventure stories, they were cosmic allegories, encoding astronomical knowledge in the language of heroism and magic. Stonehenge, then, might have been repurposed in medieval imagination as a relic of this lost wisdom, its true origins fading into myth. The giant motif is particularly revealing. Cultures worldwide attribute megalithic sites to giants or gods, from the biblical Nephilim to the Greek Cyclopes who built Mycenae's towering walls. These stories often arise when later societies encounter ruins whose construction defies their understanding. The Neolithic builders of Stonehenge, with their ability to move and align multi-ton stones, might have seemed like titans to their Bronze Age descendants. Over centuries, their feats of engineering could have morphed into tales of literal giants, their astronomical expertise recast as sorcery. What if the Arthurian legends hold another clue? Some versions describe Merlin using the stars to guide the stone's placement, chanting spells that bind the heavens to the earth. This eerily parallels the supernova hypothesis, the idea that Stonehenge's design captures the geometry of a stellar explosion. In a world without telescopes, the ability to predict celestial events or replicate cosmic patterns would have been indistinguishable from magic. The spells might represent lost rituals tied to astronomical cycles, preserved as poetic fragments in medieval romances. The blending of history and myth isn't unique to Stonehenge. Troy was considered mere legend until Schliemann uncovered its walls. The Minoan civilization lived on as a faint memory in Theseus and the Minotaur before archaeologists rediscovered Knossos. In the same way, Arthurian tales might be the fractured mirror of a deeper truth, one where Stonehenge's builders weren't wizards, but watchers of the sky, their legacy surviving not in stone alone, but in stories that refused to die. The monument stands at the crossroads of memory and myth, where the line between astronomer and enchanter blurs like starlight in the dawn. Beneath the grassy surface of Salisbury Plain, hidden for millennia, lies a shadow version of Stonehenge, one that modern technology is only now bringing to light. Thanks to cutting-edge LiDAR scans and ground-penetrating radar, archaeologists have peeled back the Earth like layers of an ancient manuscript, revealing features that rewrite our understanding of the site. These aren't just minor ditches or forgotten post holes. Massive pits arranged in precise patterns stretch far beyond the famous stone circle, forming a sprawling ceremonial landscape that once pulsed with activity. Some of these newly discovered depressions align with celestial events so precisely they couldn't be accidental, and a few seem to mirror the very geometric patterns seen in supernova remnants. Take the discovery of 20 massive shafts, each over 5 meters deep and 10 meters wide, forming a vast circle nearly 2 kilometers in diameter around Stonehenge. When mapped from above, their arrangement resembles the radiating filaments of the Vela supernova remnant, with clusters spaced at intervals that echo the shockwave's symmetry. Even more compelling is how these pits frame the horizon where the supernova of 3054 BCE would have first appeared, as if marking the explosion's arrival point in the sky. Advanced 3D modeling lets us visualize how these alignments would have looked to Neolithic observers, with the pits acting as earthly waypoints for celestial phenomena. It's no longer just about the stones above ground. The entire landscape appears to be a mirror of the heavens. The technology revealing these secrets is nothing short of revolutionary. LiDAR light detection and ranging uses laser pulses to strip away vegetation and surface clutter, exposing subtle variations in the terrain invisible to the naked eye. When combined with magnetometry and resistivity surveys, it creates a digital twin of the prehistoric landscape, preserving every ditch, post hole, and buried stone in millimeter-perfect detail. One such scan recently uncovered a previously unknown processional avenue, its banks aligned with the winter solstice sunset. Another revealed a series of ghost stones, places where massive pillars once stood before being deliberately toppled and buried, their positions forming geometric shapes that match the logarithmic spirals found in supernova debris fields. What's startling is how these discoveries challenge long-held assumptions. For decades, archaeologists believed Stonehenge's builders focused solely on solar and lunar cycles. But the new data suggests their celestial knowledge was far more sophisticated, encompassing stellar events that modern astronomers once thought invisible to prehistoric eyes. The supernova hypothesis gains traction when we see how these hidden features map onto the sky. A cluster of pits near the river Avon, for instance, aligns with the constellation Orion's belt as it would have appeared during the supernova's peak brightness, a configuration repeated in Neolithic carvings across Europe. The evidence is no longer circumstantial. It's etched into the earth itself, waiting centuries for the right tools to decode it. Perhaps most astonishing is the revelation that Stonehenge was never a standalone monument. The LiDAR scans show it as the heart of a vast cosmological complex, connected to burial mounds, timber circles, and enclosures by straight avenues that functioned like celestial sightlines. These pathways don't just point to the solstice sunrise, they trace the paths of specific stars, with deviations so slight they must have been calculated over generations. One such avenue, now buried beneath farmland, leads directly to a hill where the supernova would have been first visible, its route marked by stones engraved with spiral motifs resembling stellar explosions. The builders didn't just observe the sky, they wove its patterns into the land with an ambition that still leaves researchers awestruck. As technology peels back layer after layer, Stonehenge emerges not as a static relic but as a dynamic, evolving project, one that adapted to celestial changes over centuries. The same scans that revealed the pits also show where earlier wooden structures once stood, their post holes forming patterns later replicated in stone. It's as if each generation refined the design, honing their cosmic blueprint until it matched the heavens with near mathematical precision. The supernova theory, once dismissed as speculative, now finds physical proof in the Earth itself, a testament to how far Neolithic astronomers would go to capture the sky's fleeting wonders. Every laser pulse, every pixel in these 3D models, brings us closer to hearing the whispers of people who saw the universe not as separate from themselves, but as a story written in stone and light. Not every archaeologist is convinced that Stonehenge's design was inspired by a celestial explosion. Many mainstream scholars argue the supernova theory relies too heavily on circumstantial evidence, a compelling geometric resemblance but no smoking gun. Professor Mike Parker Pearson, a leading expert on Stonehenge, points out there's no direct archaeological proof linking the monument to a specific stellar event. No carvings depict a supernova, no oral traditions survive describing such a cataclysm, and no artifacts found at the site bear clear astronomical symbols tied to an exploding star. Without these tangible connections, the theory remains in the realm of intriguing speculation rather than established fact. Others propose simpler explanations for Stonehenge's layout. The concentric circles could represent nothing more than an evolution of Neolithic tomb design, where circular enclosures were common for ritual spaces. The alignment with solstices might reflect practical needs, an agricultural calendar to mark planting and harvest times rather than cosmic worship. Even the precise geometry could stem from the builder's use of ropes and pegs to create perfect circles, a technique seen at other ancient sites like Avebury. These counterarguments suggest Stonehenge's brilliance lies in earthly ingenuity, not celestial mimicry, but the debate grows more nuanced when considering how ancient cultures recorded extraordinary events. While no Neolithic star chart survives, absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Prehistoric peoples often encoded knowledge in ephemeral ways: song, dance, or perishable materials like wood. The Aboriginal Australians preserved memories of rising sea levels from 10,000 years ago in oral traditions. Could Bronze Age Britons not have done the same for a supernova? Skeptics counter that without concrete artifacts, the theory leans too heavily on modern projections of ancient meaning. As archaeologist Julian Richards cautions, we risk seeing patterns because we want to see them, not because they were intended. What both sides agree on is Stonehenge's undeniable astronomical sophistication. Even critics of the supernova theory admit the monument's alignments with solstices and lunar cycles are too precise to be accidental. The disagreement lies in interpreting the breadth of that celestial knowledge. Was it limited to practical observations of sun and moon, or did it stretch to the stars? The answer may lie in blending perspectives. Stonehenge likely served multiple purposes: calendar, temple, burial ground, and its design could weave together earthly and cosmic symbolism without being solely about one event. The supernova hypothesis doesn't need to be universally accepted to enrich our understanding. Like all bold theories, it pushes researchers to ask new questions. Could future discoveries, a carved symbol, a buried artifact, bridge the gap between speculation and proof? For now, the stones keep their secrets, but the debate itself reveals something vital: our endless fascination with the minds behind the monument. Whether mapping a dying star or celebrating the sun's rebirth, their legacy endures not just in stone, but in the conversations we're still having across millennia. Long before ink touched parchment, human memory was the library where knowledge lived, passed down through generations in the cadence of stories, the rhythm of songs, the shared breath of spoken word. For cultures without writing, oral traditions weren't just entertainment. They were the living archives of history, astronomy, and sacred truths. Imagine a Neolithic elder pointing to the night sky, weaving a tale about the day a new star blazed brighter than the moon, its light so fierce it cast shadows at midnight. A story like that wouldn't just be told, it would be ritualized, repeated at ceremonies until it became inseparable from the community's identity. Across the world, from the Dreamtime narratives of Australia to the epic poems of Homer, oral traditions have preserved celestial events with startling accuracy. The Aboriginal people, for instance, recount the explosion of the Eta Carinii star in the 19th century, describing it as a great fire in the sky in songs dating back centuries. If indigenous Australians could encode a supernova's memory in melody, why not the builders of Stonehenge? The mechanics of this preservation are fascinating. Oral cultures often use mnemonic devices, repetition, rhyme, and rhythmic patterns to safeguard complex information. The Maori of New Zealand recite Whakapapa, genealogies stretching back thousands of years with precise astronomical references embedded in their chants. Similarly, the Babylonian Venus tablet of Amasajuka, though later written down, originated as an oral record tracking the planet's movements over 21 years. These systems weren't just reliable, they were adaptable, allowing each generation to refine details without losing the core truth. A supernova's appearance would have been prime material for such traditions, a dazzling, disruptive event demanding explanation. Over centuries, the raw fact of the explosion might evolve into myth, its scientific reality cloaked in metaphor. The star could become a fallen hero, a divine omen, or a spark from the god's forge, but its celestial origin would linger in the story's bones. Consider the case of the Pawnee people in North America, whose Black Star legend describes a celestial being descending to teach them agriculture. Astronomers now suspect this myth memorializes the supernova that created the Crab Nebula in 1054 AD, an event recorded by Chinese and Arab astronomers. The Pawnee, without telescopes or writing, preserved the same cosmic event in their lore, linking it to practical knowledge about planting cycles. This duality, myth as both spiritual narrative and scientific record, suggests Stonehenge's builders might have done the same. The monument's alignments could be the physical counterpart to oral traditions, a way to fix celestial knowledge in stone when memories grew faint. The stories themselves may be lost, but their essence could linger in the stone's geometry, waiting to be decoded. The longevity of oral traditions defies modern assumptions. Studies of the Klamath people in Oregon reveal their legends accurately describe the eruption of Mount Mazama 7,600 years ago, including details like the direction of the ash plume. Similarly, the Gunditjmara people of Australia recount a tale of fire from the sky that matches the impact crater at Henbury, dated to 4,700 years ago. These aren't vague folk tales, they're eyewitness accounts stretched across millennia. If volcanic eruptions and meteor strikes could be preserved so vividly, why not a supernova? The explosion's brilliance would have made it a natural candidate for mythologizing, its light show seared into collective memory. Perhaps the most compelling evidence lies in the universality of certain symbols. Spiral carvings like those at Newgrange in Ireland or the Navajo sand paintings of the American Southwest appear across cultures separated by oceans and epochs. Many depict stars or celestial events, their swirling patterns reminiscent of supernova remnants. These symbols, passed down through oral teachings, suggest a shared human impulse to translate cosmic wonders into tangible art. Stonehenge's radiating pits and concentric rings might be part of this tradition, a monumental story told not with words but with earth and stone. The elders who designed it could have been thinking in generations, not years, trusting that the stones would outlast the songs that inspired them. The silence of prehistory makes it easy to underestimate oral traditions, but their precision is undeniable. When the Greek poet Hesiod wrote of the Pleiades rising with the sun to signal harvest time, he was echoing knowledge far older than his 8th century BCE audience. The builders of Stonehenge, too, likely inherited sky lore from ancestors who watched the heavens long before the first stone was raised. their monument might stand as the ultimate fusion of oral and architectural memory, a story so important it was carved into the land itself. The myths may have faded, but the stones still speak if we learn to listen. Beneath the iconic stone circle of Stonehenge lies a hidden world, one that's only just beginning to reveal its secrets. Recent archaeological surveys using ground-penetrating radar have uncovered a labyrinth of underground structures stretching far beyond the monument's visible boundaries. Massive pits, some over 5 meters deep, form precise geometric patterns across the landscape, while hidden earthworks trace pathways that seem to mirror celestial movements. These subterranean features aren't random. They're arranged with deliberate symmetry, as if part of a grand design etched into the earth itself. Could these underground networks be the missing pieces of a cosmic puzzle, connecting Stonehenge to the heavens in ways we're only starting to understand? One of the most startling discoveries is a ring of 20 enormous shafts encircling the monument, their positions forming a near-perfect circle nearly 2 kilometers in diameter. When mapped from above, their layout resembles the radiating filaments of a supernova remnant, those delicate tendrils of stellar debris seen in space after a star explodes. The pits aren't just placed haphazardly. They cluster in groups that align with specific points on the horizon where key celestial events would have occurred, like the winter solstice sunrise or the rising of certain constellations. Even more intriguing, their spacing matches the logarithmic spirals found in natural phenomena, from hurricane formations to galaxy arms. It's as if the builders encoded the mathematics of the cosmos into the very soil beneath their feet. Then there's the discovery of the ghost avenues, buried processional pathways that once linked Stonehenge to nearby riverbanks and burial mounds. These sunken roads don't run in straight lines but curve subtly, their arcs mirroring the paths of planets as they move across the night sky. One such avenue, now invisible above ground, leads toward a hill where the supernova of 3054 BCE would have first appeared, its route marked by stones engraved with spiral carvings resembling exploding stars. The precision is uncanny. These hidden pathways suggest Stonehenge wasn't just a standalone temple but the heart of a vast ritual landscape, where every mound, pit, and trench was part of a 3-dimensional star map. The technology revealing these subterranean wonders is as groundbreaking as the discoveries themselves. LiDAR scans, which use laser pulses to strip away layers of vegetation and soil, have exposed ancient earthworks that were flattened by centuries of plowing. Magnetometry, measuring tiny variations in the Earth's magnetic field, has detected the faint signatures of long-vanished wooden posts and fire pits. Together, these tools paint a picture of a site that evolved over millennia, with each generation adding new layers of meaning to the cosmic blueprint. Early wooden structures, their post holes now filled with sediment, once stood where the stones now rise, their layouts matching the same celestial patterns. This wasn't just a single project, it was a living tradition, refined across generations to hone its connection to the sky. What's truly astonishing is how these underground features interact with the visible monument. The alignment of the hidden pits creates acoustic hotspots, places where sound would have echoed unnaturally, amplifying chants or drum beats during rituals. Some researchers believe these acoustic properties were intentional, designed to mimic the starquakes of a supernova, the subsonic vibrations that ripple through space after an explosion. Imagine standing in the center of Stonehenge at dawn, surrounded by chanting priests, their voices amplified by the earth itself as the first light of the solstice strikes the healed stone. The effect would have been transcendent, blurring the line between earth and sky in a way that feels almost scientific in its precision yet deeply mystical in its impact. The discovery of these underground structures forces us to rethink Stonehenge's purpose entirely. No longer just a solar or lunar calendar, the monument emerges as part of a multidimensional observatory where the Earth's surface was sculpted to reflect celestial events both above and below. The builders didn't just look to the stars, they brought them down to Earth, carving their light into the very landscape. Every pit, every buried stone, every hidden avenue whispers of a civilization that saw the universe not as distant and untouchable, but as a living presence woven into the fabric of daily life. As we peel back the layers of Salisbury Plain, we're not just uncovering ancient engineering, we're decoding a language of earth and sky, written in a script of soil and stone. To understand Stonehenge's true purpose, we need to untangle two threads woven through ancient cultures: the practical science of astronomy and the symbolic language of astrology. On one hand, astronomy deals with measurable phenomena, the solstices, lunar cycles, and planetary movements that Neolithic builders tracked with astonishing precision. On the other, astrology interprets celestial events as omens or divine messages, embedding stars and planets with mythic significance. Stonehenge sits at the crossroads of these two worldviews. Its alignments with the summer solstice sunrise and major lunar standstills demonstrate advanced observational skills, but the monument's design hints at something more than mere data collection. The way its stones frame the horizon, how its avenues curve like the path of a wandering star, these choices suggest a deeper narrative, one where the sky wasn't just watched but worshipped. Consider the difference between an ancient astronomer marking the moon's position for planting seasons and a priest interpreting an eclipse as a god's displeasure. Both roles could have existed side by side at Stonehenge. The Aubrey holes, those mysterious pits encircling the monument, may have functioned as a primitive eclipse predictor, a tool of practical astronomy. Yet their circular arrangement also echoes spiritual symbols found across Neolithic Europe, where rings represented eternity or the cyclical nature of life and death. This duality isn't unique to Stonehenge. The Babylonians, masters of celestial mathematics, also saw planets as embodiments of deities, blending calculation with cosmology. The question isn't whether Stonehenge was an observatory or a temple, it's how these functions intertwined, each informing the other in a society where science and sacredness were inseparable. The bluestones offer another clue. Their transport from distant Wales implies more than architectural necessity. Their unique composition and acoustic properties suggest they were chosen for ritual significance, perhaps believed to channel celestial energy. Modern archaeologists can measure their alignment with Orion's belt during the Bronze Age, but to the builders, those stars might have been ancestral spirits or divine hunters. This layered meaning resonates in cultures worldwide. The Maya, for instance, tracked Venus with mathematical precision while simultaneously viewing its movements as the journey of the war god Kukulkan. Similarly, Stonehenge's designers likely saw no contradiction in using the stars as both clock and compass, calendar and cathedral. The debate sharpens when we examine celestial events like supernovas. From a purely astronomical standpoint, a supernova's sudden appearance would have been a rare and record-worthy phenomenon. But symbolically, it could have been interpreted as a cosmic birth, a god's wrath, or a portal between worlds. The spiral carvings found on nearby Neolithic artifacts patterns mirroring supernova remnants might encode this dual understanding, scientific observation preserved as sacred art. Even the monument's acoustic properties, which amplify certain frequencies, could have served both practical and ritual purposes, mimicking the imagined sound of celestial events while enhancing ceremonies. This interplay between observation and symbolism challenges modern distinctions. We're quick to separate the empirical from the esoteric, but ancient minds may have perceived them as facets of the same truth. Stonehenge's enduring power lies in its ability to embody both, a testament to humanity's timeless quest to find meaning in the stars while mapping their paths. Whether its builders were inspired by a supernova's geometry or the solstice sun's rebirth, they left us a monument that transcends categories, inviting each generation to see not just the stones, but the sky they frame through new eyes. The stones of Stonehenge don't stand alone in their silent dialogue with the sky. Across continents and millennia, other megalithic monuments reach toward the heavens with eerie familiarity. Take Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, a 12,000-year-old temple complex predating Stonehenge by 6,000 years. Its massive T-shaped pillars, carved with intricate animal reliefs, align with celestial events just as precisely as Salisbury Plain's Sarsens. Then there's France's Karnak, where over 3,000 standing stones stretch for miles like a petrified army, their rows oriented to the solstice sunrise. The similarities are too striking to dismiss circular layouts, astronomical alignments, and a scale that defies the technology of their time. Could these distant sites be fragments of a shared ancient understanding, a global language of stone and stars? The patterns go deeper than mere coincidence. At Newgrange in Ireland, a passage tomb older than the pyramids funnels the winter solstice sunrise into its central chamber, a near-identical concept to Egypt's great temple of Abu Simbel, where sunlight pierces its inner sanctum twice a year. In Peru, the 13 towers of Chanquillo form a solar observatory tracking sunrise and sunset positions with Stonehenge-like precision. Even more compelling are the geometric parallels. The concentric rings of Armenia's Karahanj mirror Stonehenge's layout, while Mexico's Guachimontones features circular step pyramids that echo the same radial symmetry found in supernova remnants. These aren't isolated innovations, they're variations on a theme, as if cultures separated by oceans were humming the same celestial melody. What binds these sites together? One theory points to a lost prehistoric civilization, an advanced network of seafarers or migrants who spread astronomical knowledge across the globe. The problem: there's no concrete evidence of transoceanic contact before recorded history. A more plausible explanation lies in humanity's shared experience of the sky. Neolithic peoples worldwide faced the same stars, the same solstices, the same awe-inspiring celestial events. Without artificial light pollution, the heavens would have been impossible to ignore, their rhythms dictating planting cycles, migration patterns, and spiritual practices. When a supernova blazed across the sky or an eclipse darkened the sun, these events demanded explanation and commemoration. Stonehenge and its global cousins might be independent responses to universal celestial phenomena shaped by the same cosmic inspiration. Yet the differences between these sites are as revealing as their similarities. Göbekli Tepe's animal carvings suggest a focus on terrestrial mythology, while Stonehenge's abstract geometry leans toward pure celestial observation. The Moai of Easter Island gaze inland rather than skyward, their purpose steeped in ancestor worship. This diversity hints at a more nuanced truth. While ancient cultures may have shared a reverence for the cosmos, they interpreted it through unique cultural lenses. The common thread isn't a single lost civilization, but humanity's innate drive to seek meaning in the stars, manifesting in locally distinct yet cosmically connected ways. The most tantalizing clue lies in the timing. Many megalithic sites, from Nabta Playa in Africa to the temples of Malta, cluster around the same epoch, roughly 6,000 to 4,000 years ago. This period coincides with a climatic golden age, the Holocene optimum, when warmer temperatures and stable weather may have allowed disparate cultures to flourish and build. Could a shared environmental catalyst have sparked a global megalithic renaissance? Or was there something in the sky itself, a comet, a supernova, or a planetary alignment, that inspired simultaneous bursts of monument building? The answers remain written in stones we're still learning to read. What emerges is a tapestry of human ingenuity, woven with threads of isolation and connection. Stonehenge and its distant counterparts stand as testaments to our ancestors' ability to transform celestial wonder into enduring stone. Whether through shared knowledge or parallel discovery, these monuments remind us that the night sky was humanity's first classroom, its lessons etched not just in memory, but in the very bones of the earth. The stones may be silent, but their alignment across continents speaks volumes, a chorus of ancient voices reaching across time, united by the stars that guided them. Earth doesn't spin with the steady precision of a top, it wobbles, like a slowing gyroscope tracing lazy circles in space. This subtle motion, called the precession of the equinoxes, shifts our planet's orientation over a 26,000-year cycle, altering which stars grace our night sky and where they rise. Imagine the celestial dome slowly pivoting. The North Star today is Polaris, but in 3000 BCE, it was Theban in the constellation Draco. For cultures that built their sacred sites around stellar alignments, this drift would have been impossible to ignore. The math behind it is staggering. Earth's axis moves just 1 degree every 72 years, a crawl invisible in a single lifetime but transformative across generations. Could the architects of Stonehenge, with their keen astronomical eyes, have detected this glacial dance of the heavens and etched its rhythm into stone? The evidence lies in the monument's lesser-known alignments. While the solstice sunrises steal the spotlight, Stonehenge's older features hint at a deeper celestial awareness. The 4 station stones, positioned in a rectangle around the main circle, align not with the sun, but with the moon's most extreme rising and setting points, a cycle that takes 18.6 years to complete. Even more intriguing is their potential link to the precession. Recent computer simulations show that when Stonehenge's earliest phase is digitally rewound to match the sky of 3000 BCE, the station stones frame key stars in the constellation Orion, which would have held vastly different ceremonial significance as precession nudged it across the heavens. These alignments aren't static, they're snapshots of a sky in motion, suggesting the builders understood that the cosmos was alive with slow, inevitable change. But how, without telescopes or written records, tracking precession would have required meticulous observation over centuries? Here's where oral tradition and generational memory become critical. Indigenous cultures like the Dogon of Mali preserved knowledge of Sirius' 50-year orbital cycle through ritual and storytelling long before modern astronomy confirmed it. Similarly, Neolithic Britons might have passed down star lore through ceremonies tied to lunar cycles, noting over generations how certain stars gradually slipped from their ancestral positions. The Aubrey holes, those enigmatic pits encircling Stonehenge, could have served as a physical memory palace, with each pit marking a generation's celestial observations. Move 1 pit per lifetime, and over centuries, the shift would mirror the creeping precession of the stars above. The implications rewrite our view of Neolithic science. Accounting for precession means thinking in timescales far beyond human lifespans, planning monuments whose true purpose might only unfold for descendants centuries later. This long-game mentality mirrors other ancient projects. The Maya, for instance, carved calendar dates reaching millions of years into the future on their stelae, while Egypt's Great Pyramid aligns not just to true north, but to a celestial north that drifted over its construction timeline. Stonehenge's builders may have embraced this cosmic patience, designing a site that evolved with the sky itself. The bluestones, rearranged over millennia, could reflect updates to celestial alignments as precession rendered old markers obsolete. Critics argue that detecting precession without precise instruments seems impossible, but nature offers clues. The slow migration of solstice sunrise points along the horizon would be measurable with simple markers over generations. The Maya spotted precession by tracking Venus' path against the Milky Way, and Polynesian navigators used star compasses adjusted for celestial drift. For Stonehenge's architects, the proof might have been in the land itself, burying artifacts in alignment with stars that, decades later, no longer matched. The very act of rebuilding could have been a ritual response to the sky's imperceptible shift, a dialogue between Earth and cosmos written in stone and patience. What emerges is a vision of Stonehenge not as a static calendar but as a living document, its stones adjusted like hands on a clock too vast to comprehend in a single lifetime. The precession theory doesn't diminish the monument's other functions. It layers them with celestial depth, suggesting its builders saw time as a spiral, not a line. Every alignment, every repositioned stone becomes a testament to humanity's quest to touch the infinite, to build not just for the present, but for the slow, majestic turn of the stars. When a supernova ripped through the night sky of antiquity, it wasn't just a celestial event, it was a divine intervention. Ancient cultures from China to the Americas recorded these guest stars with a mix of reverence and terror, interpreting their sudden brilliance as messages from the gods. The Chinese court astronomers of 1054 AD meticulously documented the Crab Nebula supernova, linking its appearance to the emperor's mandate to rule. Half a world away, the Anasazi people of the American Southwest may have painted the same event on canyon walls, their spiral petroglyphs capturing the explosion's unfolding brilliance. For societies attuned to the rhythms of nature, a star's violent death wasn't mere astronomy, it was cosmology in action, a disruption of the natural order demanding ritual response. Could the builders of Stonehenge, witnessing a similar cataclysm millennia earlier, have felt that same compulsion to answer the heavens with stone? The psychological impact of a supernova is hard to overstate. Imagine a light so intense it outshone the moon, casting shadows at midnight for weeks. For Neolithic farmers whose lives revolved around cyclical celestial events, the predictable dance of sun and moon, this aberration would have shattered their understanding of the cosmos. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder later described comets as terrible portents, but a supernova's prolonged radiance would have been far more destabilizing. In such a worldview, where celestial and earthly realms were intimately linked, the explosion might have been interpreted as anything from a deity's displeasure to a cosmic battle between light and darkness. The Maori of New Zealand spoke of stars as ancestors, their sudden flaring a sign of tapu sacred power requiring immediate ritual action. Stonehenge's radiating earthworks and concentric circles could represent an attempt to ground that terrifying energy, to bring balance back to a universe knocked askew. Archaeological evidence hints at this nexus of fear and veneration. At Çatalhöyük in Turkey, a 9,000-year-old mural depicts a volcanic eruption under a sky filled with floating dots, possibly the earliest record of humans associating terrestrial and celestial upheavals. Similarly, the Hopewell culture of North America built elaborate earthworks aligned to rare astronomical events, as if to harness their power or appease unseen forces. Stonehenge's own construction timeline reveals a telling pattern. Its earliest phase, the circular ditch and Aubrey holes, dates close to 3000 BC era, around the same time astronomers suspect a visible supernova illuminated prehistoric skies. Coincidence, perhaps, but the monument's subsequent expansions, each refining its celestial alignments, suggest an enduring obsession with cosmic order. The bluestones transport from Wales, a journey spanning generations, speaks to a society willing to expend unimaginable labor to reconcile with the heavens. What seals the omen theory is the universality of the response. When Halley's comet streaked across Europe in 1066, it was immortalized in the Bayeux Tapestry as a harbinger of William the Conqueror's victory. The ancient Greeks saw comets as Zeus' fiery beard, while Babylonian tablets linked them to royal destinies. A supernova's prolonged visibility would have amplified these interpretations, its unchanging position making it seem like an unwavering celestial eye. The builders of Stonehenge, lacking written records, may have turned to megaliths as their medium and eternal reply carved in stone rather than ink. The monument's alignment with both the supernova's position and the solstice sun creates a duality. It's both an observatory tracking the skies and an altar pleading with them. The same stones that mark the sun's rebirth might also stand as a bulwark against cosmic chaos, a prayer in rock form saying, "We saw your sign, we are listening." Yet there's another, darker possibility. Some cultures viewed celestial disruptions as demands for sacrifice. The Aztecs practiced ritual bloodletting during eclipses to feed the sun, while Norse legends told of wolves chasing celestial bodies across the sky. If a supernova was interpreted as a deity's hunger or anger, Stonehenge's construction might have been accompanied by offerings now lost to time. Excavations at nearby Durrington walls revealed feasting debris from thousands of animals, a possible clue to ceremonies meant to placate the heavens. The monument's acoustics, which amplify certain frequencies, could have transformed chants or drumbeats into a sonic bridge between realms, a way to shout back at the sky with human voices. What emerges is a portrait of Stonehenge not just as a calendar or tomb, but as a cultural panic button, a collective effort to restore harmony in the face of celestial terror. Its stones embody humanity's oldest dilemma, the need to find meaning in the inexplicable. Whether as a plea, a tribute, or a shield, the monument stands as a testament to the awe that once ruled our ancestors' nights, when the sky wasn't just a spectacle but a living, breathing force demanding response. The supernova faded millennia ago, but its echo lingers in the silent geometry of Salisbury Plain, where stone still speaks the language of stars. What if Stonehenge's ancient architects glimpsed something we're only now beginning to comprehend, an invisible force shaping the universe itself? Modern cosmology tells us dark energy makes up 68% of the cosmos, a mysterious pressure accelerating the expansion of space. It's a concept that would have been unimaginable 4,000 years ago, or would it? The monument's radiating pits and concentric rings bear an uncanny resemblance to diagrams of dark energy's influence, where galaxies are pushed apart in a vast, accelerating web. Could those Neolithic builders have sensed this cosmic push, translating its unseen presence into stone? The idea isn't as outlandish as it seems. Ancient cultures often encoded abstract cosmic principles into tangible symbols. Hindu temples, for instance, align with cardinal directions not just for ritual but to mirror the axis of the universe. The Dogon people of Mali described Sirius' invisible companion star centuries before telescopes confirmed its existence. Stonehenge's designers, deeply attuned to celestial patterns, might have perceived dark energy's effects indirectly through the slow drift of stars or shifts in the night sky over generations. The monument's alignments don't just track the sun and moon, they frame the Milky Way structure as if mapping both the visible and the unseen, consider the Aubrey holes, those enigmatic pits encircling Stonehenge. Their spacing follows a logarithmic spiral, a pattern found in galaxy arms and the distribution of matter across the cosmos. Dark energy's push creates similar fractal-like structures in the large-scale universe, an echo of order emerging from chaos. The builders couldn't have known the physics, but they might have recognized the pattern, replicating it in earth and stone as a tribute to forces beyond their understanding. The speculative leap here isn't about ancient technology but ancient intuition. Just as Polynesian navigators sensed ocean currents too subtle to see, Neolithic astronomers could have detected cosmic rhythms embedded in the sky. The supernova that may have inspired Stonehenge's geometry didn't just explode, it sent shockwaves through interstellar space. A ripple effect dark energy would amplify over millennia. By mirroring those radiating lines, the builders might have unknowingly captured the fingerprint of a force we've only named in the last century. Skeptics rightly point out there's no direct evidence linking megaliths to dark energy. Yet the value of this theory lies in its boldness. It challenges us to see Stonehenge not as a relic of primitive science, but as a testament to humanity's timeless urge to decode the universe. Whether by accident or insight, the monument's design resonates with truths we're still uncovering. In its stones, we might be reading not just an ancient message, but a cosmic one, written in a language we're only beginning to translate. Beneath the open skies of Salisbury Plain, Stonehenge may have once pulsed with more than silent stones. It could have been a grand stage where Neolithic priests and pilgrims performed the cosmos itself. Imagine the longest day of the year, when the first rays of the summer solstice sun slice through the monument's heart, igniting a ceremony where every chant, every footstep, echoed the rhythms of the universe. The stones weren't just markers, they were props in a celestial theater, their shadows and alignments choreographed to mirror the movements of heavenly bodies. Participants might have processed along the avenue, their path mirroring the sun's journey, while inside the circle, dancers could have reenacted the clash of light and darkness, their bodies becoming living symbols of the eternal struggle between seasons. The acoustics of Stonehenge suggest these rituals were immersive experiences. The bluestones, with their metallic resonance, may have been struck like gongs to simulate the voice of the sky, a soundscape mimicking the imagined hum of planets or the eerie silence of an eclipse. Recent experiments show that drumbeats within the circle create echoes that bounce between the sarsens, producing a disorienting, otherworldly effect. Add the flicker of firelight reflecting off the stones, and the entire space would transform into a liminal realm where the boundary between earth and sky dissolved. It's not hard to picture shamans or storytellers using these sensory tools to narrate cosmic myths, their words amplified by the stones as if the monument itself were speaking. Some researchers propose that these ceremonies reenacted specific celestial events, like the death and rebirth of the winter solstice sun. A procession entering the darkened circle at dawn, carrying torches to relight the solar disk as it rose between the trilithons, would have been a visceral metaphor for renewal. Even more dramatic is the idea of supernova reenactments, performers scattering glowing embers across the ground to mimic a star's explosive demise, while others arranged stones or posts in radiating patterns to mirror the aftermath. The nearby Durrington Walls settlement, with its evidence of massive feasts, hints that these rituals were communal spectacles, uniting people in shared awe of the heavens. The symbolism extended beyond mere observation, where patterns on artifacts found at Stonehenge suggest the use of ceremonial costumes, feathered headdresses, or animal skins that transformed wearers into celestial beings. A shaman draped in a wolf pelt might embody the moon wolf of European folklore, while others wearing antlers could channel the stag constellations painted in nearby cave art. These performances weren't just theater, they were acts of cosmic empathy, a way to internalize the universe's mysteries by physically becoming them. The stones, static yet charged with meaning, anchored these transformations, their permanence contrasting with the ephemeral dances unfolding around them. What's often overlooked is how these rituals bridged the practical and the sacred. A solstice ceremony wasn't just spiritual theater, it was a living almanac teaching agricultural rhythms through embodied experience. By walking the sun's path or mimicking the moon's phases, participants internalized knowledge critical for survival. The same stones that marked the planting season also hosted rites ensuring fertility, blending astronomy with ancestor worship. This duality reflects a worldview where science and spirituality weren't opposing forces but intertwined threads in the same cosmic tapestry. The most haunting possibility is that Stonehenge's rituals sought to influence the heavens themselves. Across cultures, from the rain dances of the Pueblo to the eclipse chants of the Vikings, humans have attempted to commune with celestial forces. The builders of Stonehenge may have believed their ceremonies maintained cosmic order, keeping the sun on its path or appeasing the spirits of dead stars. The careful placement of cremated remains in the Aubrey holes suggests the monument was a bridge between realms, where the living and the dead collaborated to sustain the universe's balance. Today, as modern Druids gather at Stonehenge for solstice celebrations, they echo these ancient impulses not through literal belief, but through the same yearning to connect with something transcendent. The stones endure as silent witnesses to humanity's oldest quest, to stand beneath the sky and feel, even for a moment, like part of its boundless story. Whether as clock, temple, or stage, Stonehenge's true power lies in its ability to make the cosmos tangible, turning distant stars into partners in a dance that began millennia ago and continues, in some form, every time we look up and wonder. Archaeology is no longer just about trowels and brushes, it's entering a realm where the boundaries of time itself might be rewritten. Quantum archaeology, an emerging field at the intersection of physics and history, proposes something revolutionary, that with advanced enough technology, we could reconstruct the past at the atomic level. Picture this: particles that once interacted with Stonehenge's builders still hold traces of those encounters, like cosmic fingerprints lingering in the fabric of reality. If quantum theory holds, these faint imprints could one day be decoded, offering snapshots of the monument's construction, the rituals performed there, even the celestial events that inspired it. The implications are staggering. What if we could peer into the past not through guesswork or fragments, but with the precision of a microscope trained on the universe's memory? The science hinges on quantum entanglement, the eerie phenomenon where particles remain connected across distances, their states mirroring each other instantaneously. Some theorists suggest that if an object's quantum state could be mapped backward through time, its entire history might be reconstructed, like rewinding a cosmic film reel. Applied to Stonehenge, this could mean analyzing the bluestones for residual energy patterns from the moment they were quarried or transported. Were they aligned using tools we've yet to discover? Did their placement coincide with a supernova's brilliant flash? Quantum archaeology might one day answer these questions by reading the echoes of particles that witnessed those events, buried in the stones themselves. Skeptics argue the technology is centuries away, if not impossible. Yet breakthroughs are already hinting at its potential. Labs have successfully used quantum sensors to detect underground structures invisible to traditional radar, a technique that could map Stonehenge's hidden pits and pathways with unprecedented clarity. Other experiments in quantum computing simulate molecular interactions so precisely they predict how ancient materials degrade, offering clues to the monument's original appearance. While we can't yet see the past, these tools edge us closer to a future where history isn't interpreted but observed. The ethical questions loom as large as the scientific ones. If quantum archaeology could verify the supernova link, would it demystify Stonehenge or deepen its wonder? And who controls such technology, historians, governments, or corporations? The field forces us to confront how much we truly want to know about our ancestors. Their secrets, encoded in stone and star, have survived millennia. As we stand on the brink of decoding them, we're not just exploring the past, we're redefining what it means to remember. The same skies that gifted Neolithic observers the steady rhythm of solstices also delivered moments of celestial drama, the sudden, chilling darkness of a solar eclipse. Unlike the predictable dance of sun and moon, an eclipse would have felt like a rupture in the natural order, the sun swallowed by an unseen force midday. Stonehenge's architects, so attuned to the heavens, likely witnessed these events with a mix of dread and fascination. Recent studies suggest the monument's Aubrey holes, those enigmatic pits encircling the site, could have functioned as a primitive eclipse predictor. By tracking the moon's cycles using markers in these pits, ancient astronomers might have noticed patterns. Every 18.6 years, when the moon's orbit aligned perfectly with the sun's path, the stage was set for an eclipse. Imagine the power this knowledge would hold, the ability to anticipate the gods' fleeting displeasure and prepare rituals to appease them. But predicting an eclipse is one thing, commemorating it is another. The heel stone, standing sentinel outside the main circle, casts a shadow that aligns with the monument's center during the summer solstice. Yet during an eclipse, its silhouette takes on an eerie new significance. Simulations show that at the moment of totality, when the moon fully obscures the sun, the heel stone's shadow would stretch unnaturally long, piercing the heart of Stonehenge like a dagger of darkness. This isn't just celestial mechanics, it's theater. The builders may have designed the site to amplify the eclipse's drama, turning a cosmic anomaly into a sacred spectacle. The nearby Cursus, a vast Neolithic earthwork, aligns with sunrise on dates when eclipses were possible, suggesting these events were woven into the landscape's very fabric. The psychological impact can't be overstated. For a culture that revered the sun as a life-giver, its abrupt disappearance would have been apocalyptic. Welsh folklore later spoke of eclipses as a monstrous hound devouring the sun, while Norse myths blamed sky wolves. Stonehenge's designers, lacking such narratives, might have seen eclipses as battles between celestial forces, a temporary triumph of chaos over order. The monument's layout could reflect this duality, the orderly Sarsen circle representing cosmic harmony, while the chaotic scatter of bluestones symbolized disruption. Excavations reveal animal bones buried near the Aubrey holes, some bearing cut marks suggestive of ritual sacrifice. Were these offerings meant to strengthen the sun's return, like kindling tossed into a fading fire? Eclipses also offer a clue to Stonehenge's enduring purpose. Unlike solstice alignments, which recur annually, eclipses are rare and geographically fickle, visible only along narrow paths. That the builders invested generations in a monument tracking such fleeting events hints at ambitions beyond the practical. This wasn't just a calendar. It was an ark for celestial knowledge, preserving observations that might not bear fruit for lifetimes. The same patience that moved bluestones from Wales likely sustained meticulous eclipse records across generations, each priest astronomer adding to a growing body of sky lore. The most tantalizing evidence lies in Stonehenge's lesser-known features. The slaughter stone, once upright, aligns with the moon's southernmost rising point, a position critical for predicting eclipses. Nearby, carvings of dagger shapes on the Sarsens resemble symbols found in Bronze Age eclipse records from Mesopotamia. Even the monument's acoustics may have played a role. Experiments show that during totality, when ambient noise drops abruptly, the stone's resonant frequencies would amplify whispers, creating an uncanny voice of the gods effect. What emerges is a monument that doesn't just mark time, but mediates between humanity and the cosmos. Eclipses, with their blend of predictability and terror, perfectly embody this role. Stonehenge's builders didn't merely observe the heavens, they conversed with them, using stone and shadow to ask questions, plead for mercy, and perhaps in their way assert control over the uncontrollable. The eclipses are long over, but their shadow still lingers in the silent geometry of Salisbury Plain, where rock and sky remain locked in ancient dialogue. Stonehenge's cosmic blueprint didn't vanish with the Neolithic era. It echoed through the ages, whispering to architects and astronomers across millennia. Fast forward to medieval Europe, where towering cathedrals like Chartres and Notre Dame rose with celestial precision. Their stained glass windows filtered sunlight into kaleidoscopic patterns that tracked solstices and equinoxes, much like Stonehenge's alignments. The cathedral's labyrinthine floors, often overlooked, were more than decorative. They mirrored the spiraling paths of planets, a sacred geometry inherited from ancient sky watchers. Even the placement of these Gothic marvels wasn't arbitrary. Builders oriented them to capture the rising sun on feast days, creating luminous spectacles that transformed stone into a canvas for celestial light. The legacy of aligning sacred spaces with the heavens didn't fade. It evolved, blending pagan sky lore with Christian symbolism. The influence stretches further east. Islamic astronomers of the Golden Age designed observatories like Samarkand's Ulugh Beg, where towering sextants and mural quadrants measured star positions with Stonehenge-like precision. But the connection runs deeper than instruments. Their very layouts echoed megalithic principles. The Jaipur Jantar Mantar in India, a sprawling 18th-century observatory, features colossal sundials and star-aligning instruments arranged in concentric circles, a direct descendant of Neolithic cosmic design. These weren't just tools, they were architectural prayers, stone translations of celestial mathematics. Even the domes of Islamic mosques, painted with constellations, served as inverted star maps, turning worshippers' gazes upward just as Stonehenge's builders had done. Modern astronomy carries the same torch. The Very Large Array in New Mexico, with its radio telescopes arranged in a sprawling Y shape, might seem worlds apart from Salisbury Plain, yet its design optimizes the same principle, capturing cosmic signals through strategic alignment. The Arecibo Observatory's massive dish, now dormant, mirrored Stonehenge's circular symmetry, its curvature tuned to the sky's geometry. Even cutting-edge projects like the Square Kilometer Array, with its spiral of antennas across continents, unconsciously echo the radiating patterns of supernova remnants that may have inspired Stonehenge. The language of the cosmos, it seems, speaks in shapes that transcend time. Perhaps the most poetic continuation of Stonehenge's legacy lies in art. James Turrell's Roden crater, an extinct volcano transformed into a celestial observatory, channels the same fusion of land and sky. Its tunnels and chambers frame specific stars and solstices, turning the Earth itself into a lens for cosmic wonder. Similarly, Nancy Holt's sun tunnels in Utah's desert align with sunrise and sunset on the solstices, their perforations casting star-like patterns that shift with the sun's angle. These installations aren't just homages, they're proof that the urge to monumentalize the heavens is woven into human creativity, from Neolithic stones to avant-garde earthworks. Yet the most profound legacy might be intangible. Stonehenge taught us to see the sky not as a distant void, but as a living tapestry interwoven with earthly existence. That perspective birthed disciplines like Archaeoastronomy and inspired movements to preserve dark sky sanctuaries, where modern city dwellers can still glimpse the stars as our ancestors did. The monument's true gift wasn't just its stones, but the idea they embodied that the cosmos is not beyond us, but a part of us, etched into our architecture, our art, and our endless curiosity. From solstice celebrations at Stonehenge to laser-guided telescopes on mountaintops, the dialogue between Earth and sky continues, an unbroken conversation spanning 5,000 years and counting. As we stand beneath Stonehenge's shadow once more, the line between Earth and sky blurs, not just in the monument's alignments, but in the very way it challenges us to rethink our place in the universe. Those towering stones aren't merely relics of a forgotten past. They're a bridge across time, connecting us to people who gazed at the same stars with the same awe. Whether the builders were mapping a supernova's fiery remnants or tracking the sun's rebirth, their message is clear: the cosmos isn't something distant or separate. It's woven into the fabric of human existence, as vital as the ground beneath our feet. The true power of Stonehenge lies in its unanswered questions. It resists easy explanations, refusing to be just a calendar, a tomb, or a temple. Instead, it invites us to consider a world where science and spirituality weren't opposing forces, but two sides of the same coin. The precision of its solstice alignment speaks to a deep understanding of celestial mechanics, while the sheer effort of its construction hints at a reverence bordering on devotion. This duality is what makes the supernova theory so compelling, not because it's definitive, but because it captures the monument's essence. A star's death mirrored in stone isn't just architecture, it's poetry written in geology and light. Yet even as we unravel these mysteries, Stonehenge guards its secrets jealously. The more we learn about its acoustic properties, its hidden earthworks, its ties to distant landscapes, the more we realize how much remains unknown. That's the gift of this ancient enigma. It doesn't just answer our questions, but inspires new ones. What other cosmic events might be encoded in its design? What stories were lost when the oral traditions of its builders faded into silence? The stones don't speak, but they stir something in us, a longing to connect with those who came before, and with the sky they sought to understand. This journey doesn't end here. Every discovery, from LiDAR scans revealing buried pits to astrophysicists modeling ancient supernovas, adds another piece to the puzzle. And perhaps that's the point. Stonehenge isn't a problem to be solved, but a conversation spanning millennia. It asks us to look beyond the obvious, to see the night sky not as a backdrop, but as a participant in human history. So the next time you find yourself beneath a starry sky, remember, you're standing in the same cosmic current that shaped Stonehenge's builders. The universe's mysteries are still unfolding, and the next chapter could be written by any of us, by anyone willing to look